Well, we went into this last year, Bryce. I mean, we said this last year at one point that Billy Napier was on the hot seat going into this season. That after week 5 or 6, we said before Tennessee. I think what Will, if I remember, Will said this correctly last year, either before or after Tennessee, Napier could be gone, and we all kind of agree with that. He could have been gone last year. That if they didn't perform properly, they could have a 1-win team going to Tennessee, and he'd be out. And they stuck with him. Uh, the athletic director said mid-season that we're sticking with him. You saw toward the end of the season the kind of the uprise in the team, and they got better and better with some huge wins against Ole Miss and LSU. Bryce was in stadium for that one, and a huge bowl win in the year. And everything just kind of turned for Florida in the all season. They got some pretty huge additions in the portal. You kept Lagway, you kept Jaden Bob. I said that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
They're a super talented roster with a quarterback that, I mean, not just us, but the nation is like, this guy's he's going to be good. He was a Gatorade National Player of the Year for a reason. One of the top quarterbacks wanted out of everybody in the state out of Texas. This kid's really good. We saw it last year in the 6 games he played. I think the offense is good. The defense was not last year, and that's where I think that Billy Napier's got to put some more focus into. Is that we had such a talented offense. They're young, but our defense was lackluster toward the bottom half of the SEC. Almost 23 points a game they are allowed last year. They almost scored 30 points a game. If you do that all game, you usually win. But there's teams out there with really good defenses, and they struggle in some games. The schedule again, once for Florida, is not in favor. We saw it last year. It was one of the hardest schedules in the country. Obviously, you start off with 2 pretty easy wins. Then you go to at LSU, at Miami, back-to-back weeks. Never easy setup. I know Hard Rock's not some loud stadium that just shell shocks you, but you're still playing a good Miami team. And then you go on the bye week, and then you get Texas at home. Then you're at A&M. It's just not, there's just not favorable back-to-back week games they got going on this year. So I really want to see Billy Napier this year really take his final step into being the SEC head coach, because this team has the ability to do it. They should be a team that competes for a playoff spot. If not, a 9-win season, I think they can win 10. If this team is who we think they could be.
Yeah, I mean, if they live up to their potential, to your point, you're talking about a quarterback that could be in New York, right? That could be a guy that is all SEC caliber. You have weapons around him that are very solid. You've got a defensive tackle that I think is very underrated in the middle of that defense. They have pieces. It's about the development aspect of what Billy Napier needs to do with the program. We talked about it. I mean, we were not optimistic last year, like when he looked at Florida's schedule at all. And credit to Billy Napier. They weathered a very bad storm in the months of September to really end on a good note there in November. What is, I don't want to pigeonhole you into a certain number here, but it does feel like there could be a number to where if they don't go to a bowl game, like let's just put it right that, like is Florida searching for a new head coach?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, they ended the year so well, 4 straight wins. They win a bowl game to finish at 8-5, which nobody would have thought. And you hate to see injuries, especially from a guy that has played so much college football in Graham Mertz. But it kind of worked out for Florida, because I think that was a big reason why we weren't so optimistic, because it's Graham Mertz was their starting quarterback, and we're sitting here saying we've watched Graham Mertz for 3-4 years, whatever it was at Wisconsin, do basically nothing. Nothing he did was really impressive that made you think, yeah, he's going to be really good in the SEC.
He was really efficient, but it wasn't electric. That's what we said. Yeah.
Nothing he did jumped off the page. And if you're looking for quarterbacks to come into the SEC and be starters, something has to pop off the screen. Something's got to pop off the page. And there was nothing from Graham Mertz that did that. But you look at Billy Napier, and this is how many years? 3 years, 4 years? He's 19-19. So dead on 500. His recruiting has been, we'll call it up and down, trending back up again. But I think when you look at his team and look at his players, especially the second half of last year, and the things that they say, they're bought in. They are playing for Billy Napier. We talked about how difficult the schedule is, but when you've got the type of culture that Billy Napier has built at Florida, you can win a lot of games and have a lot more success than maybe you would think you'd have on paper. So I think even with such a tough schedule, them not going to a bowl game is pretty unlikely. I think they're still going to win 6 or 7, maybe 8 games again. A full season, if they get a full healthy season from DJ Lagway, you certainly have something there. You're looking at anywhere from 7 to 9 wins, I think. We'll see. It is a tough schedule, so it's hard to say they're gonna win 9 games, but they got a shot. They've certainly got some talent and some personnel to give them a shot to do it. I like the culture that Napier has built there, and I think it's going to work out in the long run for Florida that they did stick with him. I mean, for me, I wouldn't necessarily say he's on the hot seat, but certainly if you regress back to 4 or 5 wins, he won't be back.
You could almost shift the idea of pressure, which is what we're going to do a lot with Wednesday night show, talking about ACC head coaches, of not necessarily getting fired, like you produce or get fired. It's more of the expectations of what that your own good work has created. I think that's something with Billy Napier. The own good deeds that Florida did, knocking off LSU, upsetting Ole Miss, and ending their playoff bid. They ended LSU's playoff bid mathematically there as well. Doing that, finishing the season with the way you did, created a lot of positive momentum into the offseason. It has created and generated a lot of hype around a quarterback that a lot of people feel like could be the best in the country. So it's not just that I think Billy Napier is necessarily on the hot seat because, if they go 5-7, he's going to get fired. That could very well happen. I think it's more of the expectations created to where a lot of people are talking about, like we've mentioned, if this team does some things right, they could sneak in as the 12th, 11th, 10th team in the playoff, to where 365 days ago they were saying, creating hypothetical hot boards on different publications for this. So I think it's interesting to look at it in the two different on the different ends of the spectrum, right? You could get fired because you're not playing well, but also, what if you just go seriously, with the schedule, which should be difficult? What if you just go 7-5 and win another bowl game, go 8-5? Is that bad in the 30,000-foot view? No, but within the scope of the 2025, with all the hoopla around you, I think it would be disappointing to a Florida fan base that probably expects more and a leap and a bound. I don't know. Maybe it's just something interesting to kind of note for Florida. But I kind of agree with what you guys said. I mean, I think it's high boom or bust. This is a team that very well could, if things pan out and they break the right way, they stay healthy at key spots. You've got NFL talent on both sides of the football at different spots to where you could challenge for – right, I mean, look, you could challenge for a top 6 spot in the SEC. If you're top 6 in the SEC in the month of November, you got a pretty good shot at working your way into a playoff spot. Not saying 6 teams are getting in. I'm saying that you jockey yourself with a couple key wins down the stretch. So it'll be interesting to see that as well. Looking at that schedule, though, man, buddy, November, Georgia, at Kentucky is maybe your take a breath game. At Ole Miss, home versus Tennessee, home versus Florida State. That, to me, November 1st through the 22nd, that full month of November is going to make or break Florida's season.
Is this the latest Tennessee-Florida game ever?
That's I saw that, and I feel like that's always like week 3 or week 4.
Yep.
Yeah, that's because to me here, we'll go a throwback here. I guess it doesn't make us feel old, but that to me was like one of the first SEC on CBS games every year. Like it was like that game right there. So I don't know. That's interesting. I have to look at that rivalry. I don't necessarily know, but that is definitely later than usual. I don't know when they played it last year, to be honest with you.